Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hemû xebat for Bîranîna Riza Çolpan. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming to my father's celebration of life. We come together to celebrate his life, and we've got our program set. Please, if you haven't got one of these on, just ask Jiyana over there, put it on the left side. My father loved the colour red, and this is just to celebrate that. We also have a program that we're going to go through, and towards the end of the day, it won't be too long, we will be just sharing a little bit of a light food over here as well. Toilets outside if you need to go, just outside to the right. And if you have any issues, anything you need to talk to us about, please ask me or family members. It means a lot to us that you're here, and I want to say thank you again. And people who knew and love, you're obviously people who know and love and respect my father, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with this turnout. We're going to start firstly with the Kurdish national anthem. My father was a very strong advocate for the Kurds, so I would ask him to please stand up. Thank you.
Reqib her male kalbi buzman, naşiki daneyi top zaman, naşiki daneyi top zaman. Kesler gülümürdüva, kesler gülümürdüva, kurdu cündüva. Zilli vakatla geli ağla buradan, zilli vakatla geli ağla keman. Kortin rengi soldu şureşin, sevdiğin huylarıyan medarıyan, sevdiğin huylarıyan medarıyan. Kesleri gülmürdüva, kesleri gülmürdüva, kurdu zündüva. Zilli vakatla geri ağla keman, zilli vakatla geri ağla keman. Em kurdun midyahu key hüsnevin, din iman iman, her Müslüman, din iman iman, Kurdi Kurdistan, kesler kurdu murduva, kesler kurdu murduva, kurdu zünduva. Zindi vakatla gibi ağla keman, zindi vakatla gibi ağla keman. Abi kurdu hazırlı amaleye, canfida bu canfida, her canfida, canfida bu canfida, her canfida. Kesleri kurdu murduva, kesleri kurdu murduva, kurdu zinduva. Zinduva katla keri, ağla keman, zinduva katla keri, ağla keman. Quel espace.
This section I'll be talking about my father and his life. Firstly, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming today to honor my father, Riza Çolpan, to celebrate his life. It is with deep sadness that we're all here, and I'm representing my family in giving this speech. I'm going to do it in English. I feel like it's the easiest way for me to express and get the words across. I've chosen to... Sorry, just a moment here, guys. All that said, a life like my father's really cannot be captured in a simple speech like this. Not on one day, no matter what. No matter what I say, it cannot be captured as well as I would like to express. And that's one of the hardest parts about standing up here. My father was a great man. And when I say great, I don't mean perfect. I mean he was great at what he did. He was great in his commitment to life. He was great in his passion. He was great in his discipline and his willingness to do what he believed in, no matter what. He didn't care what people thought. To me, that's one of the major attributes of success. Through hardship, through reading, through mentors, through thought, through experiences, and through sheer force of character, he learned it all himself. No words can fully express that greatness, but I'll do my best to honour it. My father, Riza Colpan, was born in Besen, 1934, Kurdistan. He was born into a world that was very, very difficult. And not long after his life, as many of you may know, the Besen massacre took place. And this affected his life and those around him greatly. During that time, the family escaped into a cave. And fortunately for us, they made it through. He grew up in a village in Besen with 6 brothers, 2 sisters, in a life that demanded deep resilience from the very beginning. In the village, Dad was a farmer, and as many of us know, Kurdistan is one of the foundations of agriculture. He grew up planting crops. He grew up on the land. He lived a simple Kurdish life. Even from those beginnings, you can already see where some of his toughness in life came from. Hardship didn't make him smaller. It made him more determined, it made him bigger, and that shaped his life. After his father, my grandfather, our grandfather, passed away, Dad eventually made his way to Istanbul. That's where things started to really change for him. Life was still hard, and being Kurdish in Turkey in those years was not accepted or respected. But Istanbul became the place where he started turning himself into the man that you all know. He worked all sorts of jobs, none of them glamorous, but while he was doing that, he was building something real, something deep inside himself. He read constantly. Actually, he read more books than anyone I know. And this is where he began to develop his political thinking and his principles of life. He didn't just accept things the way they were. He questioned them, he challenged them. He was driven to make meaningful changes. Even then, he stood out. He was already showing that he was not going to live a small, quiet life just to keep everyone comfortable. He was becoming someone who thought deeply, spoke boldly, and someone who carried himself with conviction. And during that time, he met my mum, Rêwîtîya Colpan, bless her mum. And, you know, their story is pretty unusual. They started as pen pals, and I think that's pretty unique in that time. It's pretty incredible. They built a connection through sending letters to each other from Kurdistan, Cyprus, and they got to know each other. And maybe a couple of years later, 2 years later, they actually got to meet face to face. My dad went and met her in Cyprus. And within 2 years, they were actually married. After finishing his Navy service, Dad went to Cyprus. And that's where they started to build a life together. There's something really beautiful in this story. Young love built through hardship and a difficult world. But still, they found a way to start a family. My sister Inji was born in 1963, my father's pride and joy. Then not long after that came Hevalan in 64. I certainly hope I've got my dates right there. But yeah, they lived, she was born and life was pretty good and stable. But again, stability didn't last that long. War broke out between the Greeks and the Turks. And after everything, it just changed and they had to leave. So they moved to Istanbul. In Turkey, my parents had their third child, my brother Hakan. He was born in 1969. And during these years, Mum and Dad worked. Dad worked as a laundry presser, doing whatever he could to support the family. But at the same time, he became more and more outspoken, more and more politically driven. He had really, really strong beliefs. And anyone who knows my dad knows that he didn't hold back. This started to cause some problems in Istanbul. It got to the point where it wasn't just a disagreement, it became a dangerous place. And he couldn't stay there. People warned that if he remained there and kept speaking the way he was speaking, something bad was going to happen to him. So in January 1970, he made one of the biggest decisions of his life. He left everything and he moved here to Australia. Not because he was chasing luxury, not because he needed to survive, but it was not only that, it was because he had the vision to believe in something big. Okay? And then maybe 6 to 7 months later, my mum, my sisters and my brother came here and joined him. They didn't arrive to anything glamorous. It was a pretty simple life. Small houses, Lee, Alexandria, tight conditions, limited money, a different language, a different culture, no real safety net. Back then, being ethnic in Australia was not the same as it is now. You were a wog. It was hard. You stood out. You weren't easily accepted. There were barriers everywhere. Language, work, belonging. But my dad appreciated the Australian way, so he just got on with it. They lived in basic homes and did what they had to do to survive. 163 Belmont Street comes to mind, although I wasn't around during that time. They later moved to a house at 33 Villiers Street. This is where I grew up. And later we moved again into the houses that my father built. And my father was always obsessed with having a house with a solid foundation. And this is something that he carried as a principle of life, to have solid foundation. So he always wanted the houses to be double bricked, and he'd build them like they were tanks, like they were fortresses. That was pretty much him. Dad worked as a laundry presser again, and over time he ran his own businesses. He brought over his brothers, and their families, and together they worked hard and accelerated the collective mission. Mum worked just as hard. Factories, sewing, running fast food shops. Whatever needed to be done, between the two of them, they built a life from scratch. And it didn't stop there. Dad made it a priority to bring other people over here as well. Relatives and Kurdish people who needed a chance. He helped open doors for a lot of people. He brought people here, he helped them settle, he helped them find housing, food, connections, support, and a way forward. He introduced them to people so they could make friends, and he helped them build their own networks. He gave them what they needed. He was a very strong support system for many people. We remember many people staying with us at our home. from famous Kurdish people to others, like my brother from another temple. Stand up, Tim. Show your face. This is my brother from another mother. Thank you, Tim. He stayed with us for a long time, and my father loves you. That was very much Dad, you know. If he believed in you, he would back you 100%. He also became heavily involved in the Kurdish community here. And he was one of the people involved in setting up the Australian Kurdish Association. He pushed the Kurdish agenda throughout Australia, in the community, and even to the Labor Party. We grew up around Kurdish concerts, meetings, discussions, politics, organisations, music, speeches, folklore, all sorts of Kurdish events. So he wasn't just building a life for himself, he was helping build the community. And over the years, man, did he do that. Would you agree? Dad never stepped away from politics. That was always part of who he was. He had strong views and stood up for them. And he was never afraid to speak up, even if it made things uncomfortable. Even if it was risky. And we witnessed this firsthand. He was passionate, he was proud, and he was willing to express his views even when people strongly opposed him. He would fight for what he believed in. He was definitely not timid. He was definitely not fake. He was intense and real. And he was fully committed to his causes. And yet, for all that seriousness, he had a cheeky side to him. And a real sense of humour at times. When he introduced me to his friends, he would often say, "This is my son Hevalan." And then he'd look, would grin and say, "My first mistake." And then he'd like he'd give me that cheeky smile. That was just one of his jokes that was probably said to many of you. We also had this game as kids. My sisters and brothers will remember it as uchtu, uchtu, uchtu, uchtu. Okay, but for me it was in fria, fria, fria, fria, which means fly, fly, fly, uchtu, uchtu, uchtu. And then he'd say guchikushtu, guchikfria. And if I put my finger up, flick to the head. And that was his game. He liked to flick us in right here. It was a funny time. Fast forward to 1987, my father had his heart attack. We remember him being bedridden. I was 8 years old at the time, and I remember singing Johnny, Johnny, Johnny, just to make him feel better. I think it was my brother-in-law Mahmoud's idea at the time. At that age, I remember feeling pretty helpless. We all did, to be honest. Seeing him like that had an effect on all of us. And that was a major turning point in his life. After that heart attack, he started to look after himself better. He started to write more seriously. His views did not soften exactly. Actually, if anything, they got stronger. But now they were being channeled into books, poetry, stories, ideas, reflections, and the Kurdish cause. Over time, his presence grew to something much bigger than himself. His mission was always to build a Kurdish community, to encourage education and wisdom, and to help people find a way towards Kurdish freedom. He ended up writing 39 books. That was definitely not a hobby. It was his life project. And honestly, he was a machine. He'd sometimes be writing until 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, and we would have to get him to bed. Dad, go to bed. Hada khaweh. You know, and he just did what he did. And he didn't do it for money. He did it from a place of love, from a place of discipline and commitment. And for his need to contribute to the Kurdish voice. After book 32, he said, "That's it, adieu." But we kept encouraging him to write another one. And that was a trend for the last 7 books. Each one was apparently his last. As a child, he taught us that books are one's best friend. He would say, read, learn, and educate yourself. Then he would come up to me and he would say, who is your best friend? And would expect the answer, books, books are my best friend. And that certainly made an impact to us. He drilled it into us and it really resonated. He would always tell me I was a Peshwaziya. He'd say, what are you? And I would say, Peshwaziya, as Peshwaziya. But there was a deeper meaning in that. He was always teaching and reminding us that we don't always just fight with our weapons in our body, but we fight with our minds as well. He instilled that you can fight with your actions, your beliefs, your character, and your courage. You don't always need weapons to stand for something. Your greatest weapon is your mindset. Dad taught us something else very deep and meaningful. He taught us that a friend is not someone who encourages you to do bad things, smoke a cigarette, drink some alcohol. Or, he always said that we should surround ourselves with good people and leaders. People who care, people with compassion, people with knowledge, people with wisdom. He taught us to think deeply. He taught us to be honest. And above all, to be a good person. He taught us to believe in whatever we wanted to believe. God, no God, whatever. But the most important thing was to be a good person. He valued character above everything. And he taught us to do everything the best we could and to learn and grow. My father stayed deeply connected to the Kurdish culture. Music, poetry, language, all of it was present in our lives. He made sure that we did not lose that connection. At every opportunity, he would correct my Kurdish, even if it was right in the middle of a serious conversation, something important. Even towards the end of his life, it was frustrating at times, but he would always correct the phrase or the word. And honestly, I miss that now. I really do. He travelled more than anyone else I know. Russia, America, Europe, the Middle East, Asia, everywhere. He had friends all over the place. We have messages coming in from all countries, wishing us well and sharing what he meant to them. He built relationships far and wide. He was always curious, always meeting people, and always moving. Wherever he went, he carried his identity with him, and people remembered him. Messages I have include things like, your dad is the greatest Kurd, one of the greatest Kurds. Riza was a genius. Riza was an amazing man. We loved your dad. A great loss, etc. At home, life was always active. There was always people coming and going, conversations happening, discussions, arguments, stories, laughter. It wasn't a quiet household. It was a solid Kurdish family home. It was full of energy. And Dad loved that. He loved calling his friends, lighting a barbecue, and making something happen. But alongside those bigger gatherings, there were always simple moments. Picnics, pool trips, and just family outings. My father was also a very stylish man. He loved the colour red. He loved wearing red, and he really pulled it off. It reflected his boldness. He had cool clothes, cool shoes, and a real presence. Everywhere I went, the chemist, the hearing centre, wherever I went, people would say, man, your dad's got style. And he was. He carried himself, and he maintained that all the way to the end. He had taste, presence, and a certain swagger. And people noticed it immediately. And by the way, he loved red so much that we decided to make these red ribbons. Please make sure that you've got one. He also loved chocolate. I used to walk up to him and jokingly say, "Dad, do you want some chocolate? And I'd say it in a way, where I'd assume he didn't want it. And he'd give me that cheeky look and he'd like, come on, he loved chocolate. And to the very end, this was like 2 weeks ago, where he was bedridden, immobile, couldn't talk very much. I walked into his room and I said, "Would you like some chocolate, Dad, in Kurdish?" And he managed to find energy and lift his head up and just say it. He used to say it was very, I always found it very quick. He lifted his head up and he smiled and said, "Hey, Jackie." Sorry, I just lost here. And you know what, that really touched my heart. That last time, it was one of the last things that I got to say to my father. He moved through life fast. When my dad worked, he worked fast. When he walked fast. He loved to walk, and after his heart attack, he became known for doing ridiculously long walks. Something that, a real Kurd can do. I remember him taking us for walks. Okay? And when I was a kid, he used to take me for a lot. I'd get emotional, cry, complain because he was miles ahead. I used to wonder why he's leaving his child all the way back there while he was there. But I learned quickly that if I wanted to survive and get home, I needed to toughen up. The answer was simple: walk, don't complain. Keep up, keep moving, don't stop. Looking back, I actually think he was teaching me about resilience, discipline, and focus. That was one of his ways, and we all experienced a version of it. He did not always sit you down and explain the lesson. Sometimes you had to figure out the lesson for yourself. As he got older, things started to slow down physically, especially towards the end. He'd been through a lot medically at that point: thyroid cancer, which he beat, and later the blood cancer. And during those years, we spent a lot of time taking him to the doctors, being with him, sitting with him, hoping for the best as we travelled along. And even then, our conversations were deep. We talk about Kurdish events, we talk about politics, geopolitics, history, mythology, kawa, world affairs, life after death, reincarnation, and whatever else was happening. Those times we'll never forget. Dad was not religious. He questioned everything, he explored everything, and ultimately he would always say we are Zabdash at heart. What I know for sure is that he believed deeply in a free Kurdistan. He believed in it. He hoped for it. I think many of us thought that it would happen in our lifetimes, in his lifetime. And there's really a great sadness in the fact that he did not get to see that fulfilled. But I also believe that if we see it in our lifetimes, if our people see it, if freedom comes close in any real measurable way, then wherever he is, and whether you believe in life after death, heaven, spirit, memory, whatever, or even if he just simply lives through people, it would make him very happy. And through all of this, one thing that stands out to me deeply is my mother. They had been together for over 6 decades, 66 years. How amazing is that, right? 66 years. And right to the end, she was looking after him, supporting him, carrying him, sometimes literally, through everything he needed. In the last 2 or 3 weeks of his life, he became almost completely immobile. And it got to the point where we couldn't even understand what he was talking at times. But she was still there, helping him in the thick and thin. She's got thick skin, I'll tell you what. She's strong, she's loyal, and she has enormous love for my father. And she is a huge credit to his life, and truly without her, we don't think he would have manifested the great life that he did. They say behind every great man is a great woman, and that might not always be true, but in this case it absolutely is. When I look back on my father's life, you can't sum him up simply. Dad had all the gears. He was strong-minded, passionate, sometimes difficult, very driven, deeply engaged, and full of life. He made a real impact on people wherever he went, whether they agreed with him or not. He could be stubborn, but he was honest. He was committed, and he lived in a way that had substance. And in the end, what matters most to us is what he gave us. He gave us language, he gave us identity, he gave us lessons, he gave us culture, he gave us courage. He gave us his books, his ideas, his poems, his stories, and his memories. He gave his people a voice. He gave his family a foundation. And he showed us that a person can come from hardship and survive history, cross the world, build a family, help build a community, and still leave something meaningful behind. I also feel that he left a piece of himself in our hearts. I feel it in myself. I feel it in my family. And I feel it in the people that he touched. He left his spirit in the people around him. So, while we say goodbye to him physically, we do not believe for a second that what he built disappears. His voice does not disappear. His ideas do not disappear. His lessons do not disappear. His contributions to the Kurdish people, to his family, and to the many lives he has touched does not disappear. It stays here. It stays in his books. It stays in his children. It stays with my mum. It stays in the community. It stays in the stories we tell. And it stays in every person who took something from knowing him. My father was a writer, a poet and a politician, and a father and a husband and a friend, with deep philosophy, knowledge and wisdom. Let that be known. Whatever there is after this life, if anything at all, I honestly hope he's out there, somewhere, resting in the clouds, looking down upon us, guiding us and hanging out with one of his best friends, Yalcin Efendi, talking politics, ideas, and enjoying himself. My father was a warrior poet. Rest peacefully, Dad. You lived a big life, you lived your way, you left your mark, and you will never be forgotten. Bijou. Thank you.
Vinate ve kagre روز پی هر درباز بن مرن بلسته وک گره هارو برچی بلزو بسته ده بخوی رزی کال تونه بکلمال از حوثی خواه زاروک خورا چار زاروک خورا خانم خورا هوال هوگری خورا کرتی بنستن جی گرینگ دا دست پی بکن اگر مرم روزکی از شرج نکن دوار و پس نخوازم از گیری و شین قرآن و آیت اول و دین بخون رخی شراب به عشق و کیف هر دم هر گاو بشوتین تبلاش من آغه ببنون گنده من بلاو بکن لسر گازه بگوند و به آوازه لب دنگ شبان پرور کاستکی هنداینن سر ای رقیب تمرا قرآن تکایه با خوش بران لطف استرانا کینه ام بگرن گوون تونه بغم روناهی اوینا من بن ازمان دا خالی آمن جی روژه را ببم حوال میلیار روز به روز و شب ببم کلی گلستان لسر آغا کردستان گلی من بین که گلا من ده هر شابه گیانا من رستی منن بین کشی گلانجی هونن اوه داخواز حوثیا من زبو زاروک خانم و حوال و هوگرین من و هسکرین من بمینن خوشی دا گلک سپاس بو تماشاوانان از کردکی درسمم کردکی هوزان حاتمکم ماچکم درگه برزان گلو پیکانه ببینیم تسرخ کرد زمرا جهه که 5 هردم زمان زتر وکم دل خای بکل کسر من اوه وقتیره بلبل چند روزلم برم دلشا بختوار جدش من دورم بران رامجو
Malbat or Hevalan. I would like to take a little bit of time at this point to have some family and friends come and talk. Just to note for the speakers, we've got a limit of about 3 to 5 minutes, so please try to do that if you can. First up, I want to call my big brother from another mother, hemû.
خوشکو برای نازد از دوازم سپاسی الله بکن که ایرو با قدر کارگزار و ایرو حاضر اونا کاری کرنا برای از بابای میجی برای نیمازن بوجی ام گل جیانا خط هوای در باز کرنا مثلا 18 سالی بود بابای میچو رامنده دست نفکا کرزایی در 43 سالی هم نازده واقعا من را بود مرا باب بود و سالا از بجم کرزار همیتی کردکی بالات حارس کردکی ملات حرز تمام با قدر قیمتی کشکار بکر حالی کاریا کشکار بکر و مثلا بجم سالا 1908 سیا حتی مالا باوی ام ناسیا خطر نگرد ناسیا ام گل نزیکی ام کنه وقت براجی هواجی و در روسیه پرکاری آمد چون هم بودیا و سال 1908 از آن استرالیا از تصور که من دای تصور که تصور موج نمون خواهید کرد گلت از کاغذها رازی کرد که راستی اماکن دستوا دزاست فرما و ما جیوار کرد ما والی کاری کرد و از بیرون گودن هنه نگر بیشتر سیاها سال های چو مبارد چو بیرو امی بîranîna Riza تمام بکن و دل ما و سعی ما درنای کاغذها رامنده به آن امیر رامه بازم کاغذها پراجیری جنال به و کمی نامنده به و سپاسی وادکم که ناتنه ایدو و پشتر ما و کاغذها باره نکنیدو زور سپاس
اشكو بريد راج هوا الحقان هايان براستی دلمن گرمایا رزاج دست مالکی چند سالی که رزا سال 1986 در ماز پاکستان استرالیا بعد پیشوازی و حتی رجعی هنا حواله هذا كرزا مروبة كي قال لك درسوز فرجع كرزا مروب دي شاطر أزنان جنا لكن كرزا تلي بدل شكل له فرد يعني إذا كانت دكتورتي سال كرزا مروب هواجي قال لك ميوزيك وهذا شان كرزا ميوزيك كرزا رسالة حزر نسل حفتين هاد بيشتا أستراليا لحفتين شارع كرزا مروب كي كومونيست قال لك لي سرحشة يعني از بیجم لینین و مارکس و تروتسکی و ستالین یعنی که خانده و وان پر سربرد. لیکن کرزا گیشته مرحله که رام چنان ترکادا کومادا کردن تر کومنیت آمزراد سال هفته چهارده ایجاره رامو دامن و بحثی مسئله کردی دیگر دیجاتی بیته. کرزا گفته که بهز یا کومادا سوسیالیست و کمونیست یا من عندك في زماني أنا بيجي مشان مليون يا شنو أنا تيجي ملاك كان كزام هيرس كان رابو جريا رابو كل ذاك مبالي رصاد يجي سياسة مدار كل تكشين بكر سوركلي رحمتي بيجي قال عبد الرحمن شكوماني تكشين شيء وش دخاص تشتكي بكر فهذا رابو كمالات كل أستراليا أو مزرعة ل1977 هذا چلی باشی بله سال 1988 در ما حوالی من که رضا چی بود ماشی به کمره در مخینه کار کرد اینه پروبلم دکتر قبول نکرد مرا بود کمره کسی ساز کرد کمره دموکرات درانجی بود کمره نیو ساز برس که رضا براستی انتخاصم اینه بس نه به انگلیسی بکم سروی بلکی یاده کس که من دینا Today, my dear friends, today is not just a day of farewell. Today is a day of loss, a day of memory, and a day of truth. We are here to say goodbye to a man who was not ordinary a man who did not live quiet life, a man who carried his people, their pain and their truth to his heart every single day. My dear friend, my brother Riza Çolpan, it is hard, very hard to accept that you are no longer among us. Because men like Riza Çolpan do not simply live, they remain in every word they spoke, in every value they stood for, in every life they touched. I still remember, as it was yesterday, January 86, when I arrived in Sydney. Far from everything, I knew uncertain, alone. And there he was, Riza Çolpan, amongst my Sydney family, waiting for me at the airport. The moment was not a just welcome. It was the beginning of our lifelong bond, a bond of loyalty, of a shared struggle of brotherhood. Riza was not a man who stayed silent. He was a man of the truth, a man who would look at your eyes and say what others were afraid to say. Riza Burasi بدم روما تجارة شريعة كذا ومرب شاشية كذا تجارة رخنة بكر مكتوب كذا وكي براكي مثل وكي روشون بيناتي. Not because he wanted to accomplish, but because he believed that without truth there is no dignity, and without dignity there is no future. Through his books, through his thoughts and beliefs, left us something very powerful, something painful. He said that the Kurdish people do not always know who their true friends and who their true enemy. يعني رزاق يكون معروف كرد بداخل يعني مع الأسف يعني دستو تجمعني أخذ شاب لاغنا أو تنجي يعني كراسة. There were not simple words. There were a warning, a reflection of a lifetime of struggle, a cry for awareness, for unity, for awakening. In 1988, when our community was divided, when politics began to separate us, Riza chose different paths. He chose a unity. He chose a courage. Together we stood and we built what is today known the Kurdish Association of New South Wales. Not for power, not for politics, but for our people, for our future, for our culture, language, and our unity. That was Riza, a man who built even when others divided, a man who stood firm even when the ground was shaking. But no matter how long he lived here, no matter how many years passed, his heart never left his homeland, Dersim. The land of his pain, the land of his memory, the land of his identity. And even in his final wish, he did not ask for a comfort. He did not ask for a recognition. He asked to go home, to return to Dersim, to have his ashes scattered over the mountains. This mountain has witnessed suffering, those mountains that carry the soul of his people. That was his final message to us. That is, a man may leave his land, but his soul never does. Today we feel in pain, we feel in loss. Because a voice has been silent, a strong voice, an honest voice, a fearless voice. And yes, it hurt, because his dream of seeing a free Kurdistan was not fulfilled in his lifetime. But listen carefully, his dream did not die today. His dream is now our responsibility. His voice is now our voice. His truth is now in our hands. So today we do not just cry for Riza. We stand for him, we remember him, we honor him, and we continue what he was believing in. My dear friend, my brother, you may have closed your eyes, but your spirit will never fade. You will live in our memory, in our hearts. And in every step we take forward. Rest in peace, Riza. You are with us forever. Today we bury a man, we rise with his cause, the Rêwîtîya Bîranîna.
خوشك براين هيجرا بدلك خمدين ام هيرون شلفرن تاكو ام خاطر حالي داوي جل فسكار ووالد باريز براي هيجرا رزا چولپان بخاط راستك رزا بجان بدن خونا اشناق مهاركر لأوي بهندشتو لفسلوان بكارو خبات اخوي يابرمك دناو دوستو هوان ومالبات الخلا حد زندگی مرود دکانه بساعتا بسر اکی رزا با لیکنی از کانم بیشم برای رزا مروفکی کرد پرور و دلسوز و جسور جو کرد کردستان حز دکر و کردستان جرزا حز دکر دوستانیانا کف برای هیجا رزا بدگره سال 1908 آنگوبلی 46 سال مبتف هم دشتاری گلک چالیاکیا دریا کورمالا کردن استرالیا نوی دمیدا هیجمالا کردان استرالیا زیر گیم و یه خواه وکو کرد خودی در دکتن بسلام و همیش باکر کردستانی بود و بکنه ام دسه مالبات جروج آواج باشار کوباره الوی دمیدا تکر جباشور و روجلاتی کردستان کنه بود بکنیا چند خوندکار جباشوری کردستان هم رضا یکک بوش او کسی در مستشارین و کسی دل یکم کومالا کرد استرالیا به سال 1907 و نها قدم ازاندن و محمیان کبوی کومالا کار خبات کرد جدستپک سال 8 تا دستپک سال 9 مذهب را گلک چالاکی جیر حسکی نتوی کردی بی فرق و جوازی لسر ام ایدولوژی آن ایدولوژی رضا حس و فکرین وی هر کرد کردستان و ریزکی وی taybet بود سر رواز برزانی و دگود رواز برزانی حس نتوی و کردای دل ملا کردن کریه و نیاکی دشمن و فاشست ترک حبونت کریه رضا سرداری گلکات این جهان و باشوری و جلال آبا و واجار کوباری کرد و دوستانیا کی وی زور مزن همون تب کرد مین یزیدی لیریوان وکو قانان کرد و جلیل توسن رشید و برای می هیجا تیمور کو اونا اوجی کرمیا و گل کسی دما شل داعش ندش کوبانی رضا تلفونی مکر و پرسید روش کوبانی چار مقول که رضا زور خرابه و داعش نزدیکی کوبانی کریه تباهیا ملت کوبانی در باسی وی هلی خطه بود اما بود چنه کرد رضا بود از ملت کوبانی باش بناسد از تبان کنه که داشتم کوبانی ناکمه و ملت کوبانی تف پیش مرگه و شبانان تا داوی می برخوا بدن و کوبانی تجاران تسلیمه و کهنه پرسته مسلمان رضاش همین ملت کرد حسن ما را فحرتن فکری بگو کردان لبر از دل دا دل خمگینی خواه پیشکیش خانم آوی هیجیا رفا بکن حلوها همو زارین و انجی حیال حفار حاکم و برای وی حیدر و ممن و زافای وی برای وی هیجیا محمدونای برای سر وصابه سر گل کرسابه و رضا وی حرقم مرا بجی حزار رحمت وی به وانی وی داوی حرف هشت ما مستشعی اشبه روشاوی تندرستی و دوربین نطلع و اشتار با ام پیام رچوک شما دما و شاق مخابل اشبه دوربین و روشا تندرستی نطلع و اشتار بکوبین من برای رضا سال هفته دا لسیدی ناصر و سال هشته دا دما سروک کومالا کرده استرالیا بود که رضا سکرده مدمه که کار باش بحق مخابل دور را انجام سیاست دوی دمه کیشک نام بری مدل هاته بوده لیب در باسکونه دمیرا مهر دخشان و دوستانیان بردو که رضا مروبکی کرد پرور و میوان هست خونو هیوین وی کردستان کسر پاو او مروبکی زیرک و خواب فیدی خواندن و مساندن کردی که و وکو نفسکار هنک در همین بخورشت کاکرسان مروبکی خدان مارک اشبود بیتنا دوست خواب و کرده نامدار سردانی گرلک ولطا رحیه که رضا بناو آرامی داره اش همی اندام مالبات وان اصلاب الفدشين وبسبب جوان مخازن كاكرزا ويد دل همی دوستان دا مالبات دا حل زندگی در بر از خاصم بویره چوب بیشه و کاکرزا ویدی خوش و به دهان بویره خوش و نخوش با چند سال در ماسبوی دا مرا در ماسبوی از بویره که چوب بیشه زانی سال هشته دا ملت استرالی کرد نداست و پرانی حیاب بفرسیار استرالیا کرد نداست لأن خونگر بود ولی خاطرنا حس کردگی نداره چه چالاکی استرالیا ببون وکو انزک ده وکو استرالیان ده وکو چه مناسبت هست ام بچونه و من نشد چه بکر نبارابوک چه بکر بو آرده کرد وریزا کردستان ملبلا بکر المیده یکی بلانه رضا گرم بود حس کردگی دونال نداره ایدو به نام جماعت نام کومنه دا هفو بلاب کرد دو یا اونانی مرحبه رضا و شهید و مصطفی ده همانی بحث کرد کردستان میبان ده مرحبه ده کردستان نیسا وید دمیده جی کرد مجبور کرد حکومت چون تا وید شابر بربو این اوزداری آسان دا کن همون لترسیان نام کرد کردستان داوود هنرمند دلخوش ولی پرمایه باور قوی بری چند سالان دستپک هشته دارو نیست شهید و که رزمرابل از مصطفی Stranek mehe ya xelkê Koban ya deşta Strucê varî Urfa işte ser sêbet bêj. Ew strana pir navbûdeng e. Van rodin wê Stranek bêj. Yani Stran wekî bêza veza ve Xwedê û Malik ava şukur firan bûza ve mala zêve Tirtûne dawetêra zeytûne îşev şer 26 بوك زيما كيف واشين حدو قد تحزن بوك زيما تكشف بيها İnan dövüşüne destek koyduğunda ya bu nedir ya? Daha Riza Çolpan, Şerife Mustafa nereye geldi siyaset konuşmayı siyaset Kurdistan ettiğini inan ya bu Riza ya bu ne siyaset? Bu sazdır ya bu sazdır. Hepsinin farklı siyaset inandır. أبو قال المونيك قال فازل الوصول كان رزاق حرب بحس وين تاوي كردستاني وواحد ما مضى بجي خزان القليبة زور شواصي
خاطر تو Riza Çolpan Matura Zafeski Matura Zafeski Matura Zafeski Rıza abi şiir yazardı. Son bir haftada evinde buluştuk. Dersinden özel yemek yedik. İkincisinde hastane mühendifte gördüm. Bir arkadaşım bana gömleyen Haydar Bayan dedi Rıza abi kaybettik. Biraz duygulandım. Duygularımı biraz kaleme aldım. Onları sizinle paylaşmak istiyorum arkadaşlar. Bir şiir yazdım duygulu olarak. Duygulanmıştım. Ağladım ulan. Ağladım kimse görmeden. Hani derler ya erkekler ağlamaz. Ağladım. Ağladım. Gözyaşı dökmeden. Ağladım ulan. Her ölüm erken. Dostlar için. Ağladım kimse yokken. Yıldızlar yokken. Güneş doğmamışken, gecenin karanlığı, kara basan bir gece, karanlığı dibe vurmuş gece üçü, ağladım kimse yokken, sessiz sessiz, hüngür hüngür, ağladım lan, kimse görmedi, bir ben, bir karanlık, sadece dostum, Rıza ve anılar. Karanlık bir gece vardı, sağım solum karanlık, oda, bir yatak, bir gecenin sessizliği, karanlığı, şahitti sadece. Biraz da başka Rıza'nın hayattan kesitler aklıma geldi, onları kaleme aldım. Buğday misali Dersimli Rıza. Buğday dedi ben Dersim'de tarlada yetiştim. Rıza dedi ben Kürdistan Dersim'de doğdum. Buğday dedi ben saf toprakta büyüdüm. Rıza dedi ben Mazgirt'te yetiştim. Buğday dedi ben su, güneş, toprak ile yeşerdim. Rıza dedi ben ilkin kitap, bilgiyle yetiştim. Buğday dedi ki yetiştim, tohum oldum. Rıza dedi yuva kurdum, geliştim, büyüdüm, çocuklarım doğdu. Buğday dedi insanı doyurdum. Rıza dedi ben insanı kamil oldum. Bilgim ile, öğüt ile, 92 yıllık ömrüm ile övdüm. Buğday dedi ben insanın kanına karıştım. Rıza dedi bilgeliğimle Kürdün, ulus, bayrak, vatan ruhuna sızdım. Buğday dedi ben değirmende un oldum. Rıza dedi ben dünyayı gezdim. Çok ama çok ülke gördüm. Buğday dedi karanlık ambara kapattılar. Rıza dedi ben karanlık olmamak için onlarca kitap okudum, duygulandım, şiir oldum ve bazen çok ülkelerde sempozyumlarda bilgi veren, fikir veren. Buğday dedi ne kadar ortak yanımız varmış. Toprağın altında tohum, beyaz güvercinin kursağında buğday, beyaz güvercin kanat çırparken Murzul dağlarının zirvesinde doruk noktasında özgürce Rıza 92 yıllık yaşam, ülkeler, gurbet ve son durak yetiştiğim tarlam, su içtiğim kurnam ve 4 nala at koşturduğum kısrak, ülkem, Kürdistan, Dersim. Mezara sığmadım.
Karanlık dardı ve kül oldum. Hani demiş ya Seyyid Rıza. Makboye kildim kerdin lazım. Biz dağların kilidini kaybettik oğlum. Hani oğlu gözleri önünde diri diri yakılan ovacıklı Fivik dede hiç konuşmadı. Bir daha asla. İnsanı yakan insan vardı. Utandı insanlığından. Konuşmadı insanla bir daha. Asla. Hani Diyarbakır zindanlarında kendini yakan Mazlum Doğan, üniversitede vurulan Hüseyin Cevahir misali gibi mezara sığmadı. Yüreğim, beynim, cüssem, ruhum, okuduklarım, yazdıklarım, şiirlerim, kitaplarım izin vermedi. Ve son, kül oldum. Dersim'de serpilmek üzere abim Hüseyin'in mezarına. Oradan kar-beyaz bir güvercin misali Munzur'un o beyaz karına karışarak ve bir kısım külün yoğrulurken Munzur suyundan ve denizlere, koca okyanuslara varırken beyaz küle döndüm. Deli bir fırtınada Dersim dağların tepesinde özgürce savrulmak. Anne, anne, babam, kardeşlerim, Dersim, sana yandım, kül oldum döndüm. Deli bir rüzgarda ulan savrulmak üzere. Ey koca Çınar Riza Çolpan! Afrika'da açlıktan ölen çocuk, savaşta ölen çocuk, Ege'de sahile cesedi vuran mülteci, Aylin Kürdi, küçük kız, saf, temiz çocuk, 38'de sopayla öldürülen saf, temiz çocuklarımız seni karşılasın. Bu devlete hakkımı helal etmiyorum. Ömrüm mahkemelerde geçti diyen Yaşar Kemal. Madımak'ta yakılmak istenen Aziz Nesin. Kalleş kurşunlarıyla öldürülen gazeteci Hrant Dink. Firikle'de Seyyid Rıza, Molla Mustafa Barzani ve nice aklıma gelmeyen isimsiz kahramanlar yoldaşın olsun. Sen ülkende rüzgar ile beyaz güvercin gibi uçarken beyaz küllerin, beyaz karlara, saf sulara karışık harman misali ben de sana diyorum ki halorza matora zavken halorza mazlara tora zav hesken 1938'de kadınlarımız işkence görürken çağırdıkları ya kızım ya düzgün baba ve dar günde gelmeyen kutsallarımız, ermişlerimiz, hayallerimiz, düzgün baba, Hızır Letogru, en içten saygılarımla halorza, dostum Riza Çolpan, elveda sana, Katiretu Riza Çolpan, saygılar.
Good afternoon. Back in 1991, almost 35 years ago, I went for a job interview. The person who interviewed me asked me 7-8 questions. He asked me my name, where I come from, what is my plan, and all of these things. I've been here in Australia, in this beautiful country, only for maybe 6 months. I was a skinny guy, single, totally broke, looking for a job.
Hevalan hogren heja, hun hemû bi xêr hatin, serseran û serçavan.
Kine Riza Çolpan net hene hevalek bu, ev mamosteyek bu, megelek tiştî fikrin, megelek tiştî wî nivîsî bûn xwendin. Ez ê niha İngilîzî bêjim, ji bo zarokên me fêm ji bo tesîrê li wan bikin. I will speak in English now, primarily for the benefit of our young ones who are born and raised here and their Kurdish may not be sufficient to get the message. Kine Riza was very dear to me, it was very important to me. I couldn't really bring myself to speak when I was asked to do that. I thought I would break into tears, but Hevalan, just like his father, assured me that it was okay to cry. And that reassured me. A British writer, very famous British writer by the name George Bernard Shaw, made a statement. He said, reasonable men in this world change themselves to adjust to the world. They change themselves, they don't change other things. Unreasonable men change the world to suit themselves. I think in that context, Kine Riza was an unreasonable man. He did not accept oppression. He did not accept poverty. He did not accept the situation in which he was born. He wanted to change the world. He did not accept that all these awful things were the Kurdish people's fate. He did not believe in fate. He believed in changing things for the better, especially for the Kurdish nation. And I cannot think of any other nation that is being oppressed, downtrodden, and exploited like the Kurdish nation. That is not our fate. God did not say Kurds have to be oppressed, downtrodden, and exploited. No, nowhere has God said that. Nowhere has his prophets said that. Like all other nations, Kurdish people have the right, are entitled to self-determination, are entitled to have their own free, united, and independent country.
Mehmet Çelikeli dedi ki, Haydar dedi, senin misafirin var. Döndüm baktım, kabza uzun boylu, yakışıklı, takım elbise giymiş, altında ıskarpinleri olan, kırmızı bir alet takmış. Gerçekten ben dedim, en yakışıklı olan zaten gördükten sonra vazgeçtim. Geldi dedi, ben Riza Çolpan, Dersimliyim. Ben dedim, Haydarların Dersimliyim. Sarıldık. 30 yıldır birlikteyiz, hiçbir zaman Rıza Bey'e saygısızlık yapmadım. O da bana sevgisizlik yapmadı. Rıza Bey'in geçmişine baktığım zaman bize ne bıraktığı çok önemlidir. Ne yaptığını çok önemlidir. 92 yıldır yaşamına 39 kitap satılmış. Dolayısıyla ve dünyanın yarısını gezen bir arkadaşımız. Rıza Bey benim için kışın gölgesinde beni ısıtan, yazın gölgesinde beni serinleştiren bir çınar ağacıdır.
Kürdistan halkı büyük bir çırağını kaybetti. Bir yazarı kaybetti. Kürdistan halkının başı sağ olsun ve hepimize başı sağ olsun arkadaşlar. Rıza Bey, bilirsiniz bizim Dersim'in 3 ana yemeği var. Şirekot, zerfe ve keşke. Rıza Bey bunları çok sever. İnanın ki ben de çok severim. 2 ayda bir, 3 ayda bir mutlaka derler, haydi hocam, şirekot yaptım gel. Ben de çevredeki bütün arkadaşları, sevdiğim arkadaşları çağırır, Rıza Bey'in evine giderdik. Şirekot yapmasa geldik ve salona geçen çay eşliğinde sohbet ederdik. Rıza Bey gittiği ülkeleri kendisine sorardık. Derdi ki, bize anlat. Rıza Bey otururdu bize denkmeciler gibi çekinmeden, rahat bir şekilde hikayesini anlatır. Biz de diz çöker, dinler Rıza Bey. Rıza Bey biraz da bana takmıştı. Nasıl takmıştı? Beni gördüğü zaman mutlaka Türk sonunu görür. Rıza Bey diyor ki, bir sürü insan Türk sonunda mücadele etmiş. Niye Haydar Bayır'ı gördüğü zaman illa Türk sonuna kılıyor? Haydar diyor, İbrahim Kaymakam'ın ne işi var dersin? Onu geçtim, senin ne işi var dersin? Gittiniz dersine. Sınıf mücadelesi söylediniz. Dersin halkını kendilerinden uzaklaştırdınız, yabancılaştırdınız. Rıza Bey'le kadına buluştuğu zaman aynı şey. Evde buluştuğu zaman aynı şey. Bizde buluştuğu zaman aynı şey. Ancak yemekten sonra, kadına çıktıktan sonra genelde de heyecan. Bana gönül koyma. Bu benim düşüncemdir. Sarılırdı ve bizi yolculardı. Onun için Rıza Bey özetlersem arkadaşlar Rıza Bey yaşlandıkça olgunlaştıkça düşüncelerini süzgeçte geçirip bize yansıtan bir yazarımızdır. Ve huzurlarınızda saygıyla onu arıyorum. En son demişti ki hocam, ben öldükten sonra rakı içeceksiniz, türkü ve alkışlarla beni yolculayacaksınız. Rakip yok ama söz, türkülerle, alkışlarla seni yolculayacağız. Ablam demişti ki, konuşmuştuk demişti Rıza Bey'in işi, Haylaycan dedi. Doktorlar Rıza Bey demiş ki, 3 ay içerisinde gidecek. Biz de toplandık. Bizim gavur annenin eşi Samire zerfet yapmıştı. Rıza Bey'lere gittik. 20 gün falan oldu değil mi? 20 gün falan oluyor. 15 yıl için toplandık. Ben onu sanatçılarla hatırlarsın şeyde. Rıza Bey öyle bir kıncıya çıkarmıştı ki meseleleri. Yaşarken onu andık arkadaşlar. Yaşarken Rıza Bey'i ölümünü andık. Onun için onun dediğini yapmak üzere, onun son vasiyetini yerine getirmek üzere Emre'yi buraya çağırıyorum. Birlikte bir 3 parça Kürtçe söylemek istiyorum. Teşekkür ederim. bekar sanırım daye bekar sanırım felek yok şiir şair felek yok şiir şair Teşekkürler arkadaşlar. Rıza'nı gönlümüzde sevgiyle, özlemle hep kalacak. Rıza Bey son sözüm şudur. Rıza Bey gittiği yerde bütün arkadaşlara, dostlara, yoldaşlara, herkese sevgilerinizi ilet. Yıldızlar yorganın olsun, toprak seni incitmesin Rıza Bey.
Hadi gelek derdaye, derdanışa dermandaye. Hadi gelek derdaye, derdanışa dermandaye. Dividayi melati, serhemmi derdaye.
To close, I wish to say that my father, Riza Çolpan, had a very full life. Not an easy one, but a full one. He did it in his own way. Okay? And his family, his friends, his work, his voice, it's here forever. I want to take a moment just to respect and reflect on my father. I want everyone to just please stand up. And I just want to have a moment of silence, please. Father, I speak for everyone. We're going to miss you, and we will never ever forget you.
Kine Em.